The Democratic Alliance is once again at the helm of the nation's capital after Randall Williams was re-elected unopposed as the Tshwane executive mayor. The party's been in charge of that metro since 2016, surviving many a political storm, including the municipality being put under administration. Last month, the Constitutional Court ruled that the Cooperative Governance Department's 2020 decision was unwarranted and unnecessary. Executive Mayor Randall Williams joins us now to give us a sense of his plans of the city. Mr. Mayor, a very good morning to you once again. Thank you for your time on the AM report. Your victory in Tshwane really sealing the deal for the DA cleaning up in Gauteng.
Yes, it seems that is what happened yesterday. It was unexpected, the fact that the ANC abstained, but it was not surprising if you look at what happened on Monday in the other two metros and then yesterday morning in Mogale City. It shows there was a trend of smaller parties voting together.
I mean, is this a victory for the Democratic Alliance? Certainly on the face of it, that's what it seems like. But what's it going to mean in practicality when it comes to actually governing? Let's talk about your city, Tshwane.
Look, if you look at the 12 months before the elections, we've had stability in the city of Tshwane, despite the fact that I have been running a minority government. I didn't have majority in council. But what's going to happen going forward is that we're going to continue with coalition negotiations, because we believe that we need to have a firm coalition agreement in place to guarantee stability in the city of Tshwane and elsewhere.
Right. So coalition negotiations are your next plan of action, because obviously where the EFF and Action SA voted with the Democratic Alliance, they did so without any such agreement in place.
Yes, absolutely. Well, it's not that it's going to start now. It has been happening for the past two weeks, but the 2-week period is certainly not enough. You need a longer period to negotiate sound coalition agreements. And I believe the legislation needs to be amended to make provision for the new style of governance in South Africa.
Tell us more about that, Mr. Mayor.
Well, if you look at the experience of other countries like Germany, who've had coalition government since the late 40s, I mean, they give their parties a lot longer period to negotiate coalition agreements. And normally the majority parties are given about 3 to 4 weeks to negotiate a coalition agreement. If they fail, the next party is given a chance to do so. But in South Africa, the legislation only gives us 2 weeks to cobble a coalition agreement together.
I mean, there are massive complexities, and really this can't be overstated. There are massive complexities that now faces the DA with these coalition agreements, as you say, which are still under negotiation and have been for the past couple of weeks or so. There's no love lost between the DA and parties like the Economic Freedom Fighters and Action SA. The EFF, the DA was categorical in the wake of the election results, saying that it will not work with the EFF because the two parties differ so drastically ideologically. Action SA's Herman Mashaba, he feels incredibly hard done by the DA. He says he's been strung along for some months and he was abandoned at the last minute. So given these kinds of complexities, how do you as mayor go about forming a government, forming a coalition with these parties, hopeful that parties like, for example, the EFF and Action SA won't go to council meetings with the sole purpose of disrupting, but you go in there with a sense of working together? Is that at the top of your mind, this idea of working together successfully?
Look, the way I see it, these are two tracks that you're talking about. The coalition negotiations, as far as the DA is concerned, that is being done by the national and provincial leaders. And you must remember, in Tshwane, we've got 15 political parties in council. So not negotiating with the EFF or ANC means there are still 12 other parties that the DA can negotiate with to form a majority government. But from my perspective, for me, I'm not reliant on coalition agreements as such to continue currently with council. What I need to do is to establish a forum for all political parties in council that we can agree as far as possible in the type of issues we need to present in council, the type of decisions that need to be taken in council, so that we can have a stable administration in the city of Tshwane.
Mm. And you're saying it again, and this has been a theme throughout these elections, the fact that the DA doesn't want to rely on a party like the EFF when it comes to governing. But aren't you forced to do so now?
No, we're actually not forced to do so. We're not forced to do so, especially in council. That's why I say coalition negotiations, that's another track being done by other party leaders of the DA. My role as mayor is to consult with all the councillors, whether they're from the ANC, EFF, Action SA, FF+, so that when we run council together, and that we put the residents first, the interests of residents first. We put party principles and policies aside, because at the end of the day, local government is about the delivery of basic services. Mm.
And what you're talking about there, Mr. Williams, Mr. Mayor, is that issue of political maturity, isn't it? Because, again, yes, the issues that you're bringing up now are statements that many political parties have made insofar as, the elections are done, we want to get on with the job of providing services. We've seen this before, and we've seen it unfold as lip service. Do you reckon we have that kind of political maturity in council that you are hoping for?
Look, I can only talk about my experience, the 12 months prior to the elections, and that is the way of doing business that I followed. I've always engaged with all the political parties, and during that 12-month period, we've had stability in the city of Tshwane. So we've learned from that 12 months of engagement, and we can only build on top of that.
Mr. Mayor, is there a scenario where, a worst-case scenario, let's say, where things don't go according to the plan that you've just outlined to us? What would be the next step for the Democratic Alliance in Tshwane then?
Well, it's not a next step. That's why I say it's a two-track approach that we're following. While I'm running the city, the national and provincial leaders are still busy. They've been doing so for the past 2 weeks. They're still busy engaging with other parties to put a sound coalition together where everybody will sign a coalition agreement, and the coalition agreement will be made public.
Mm. So what's your message this morning for the people of Tshwane?
Well, for the people of Tshwane, we believe we've got a stable administration. We can now concentrate on turning the city around and delivering the type of services that the residents need.
What's going to be your big focus insofar as service delivery is concerned?
Well, nothing has changed as far as I'm concerned. From 31st of October last year, I've put a 10-point plan in place, and basically my focus areas are the finances of the city, the delivery of basic services, and infrastructure development. I'll be continuing.
Yeah. Are there particular areas, because you're talking in very broad strokes at the moment, are there particular areas and particular areas of service delivery that you'll be focusing on?
Yes, when I say basic service delivery, that's all legislated. That's the competency of what the local government should normally do. Mm. Fixing potholes, making sure that the street lights are working, cutting grass, unblocking sewages, fixing water leaks. It's all there. The local government is a highly legislated form of government. Mm. So we're going to make sure that we carry out the mandate that has been legislated for our city.
Randall Mayor, let me thank you for your time this morning. Randall Williams, he is the executive mayor in Tshwane, giving us a sense of his plans for the city. He says nothing has changed. He's going to be continuing on the same track that he has been on for the past year or so. Of course, this is following his re-election to that position just yesterday.